Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining us at Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit today. I'm feeling pretty good about being here today. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about being here. We've got a lot of things going on here at Journey Home Support Services, which is that's the space that I offer these morning sits from now. So I'm sitting in my office that you can see here. And we're based out of Cave Junction, Oregon, and we offer support services to people, companionship and peer services. And we've got a lot of things happening here, right? There's a lot of little dots to connect and a lot of pieces that fit into different things. And the reason I'm thinking about this and talking about this right now is there is, throughout any day that I'm here, there are so many different opportunities to either perform a role, right? Or to step into a space of connection. Sometimes both can happen. But what I often find is that when I work from a place of having a goal and I'm performing a set of duties that I'm obligated to perform to uphold a role that I'm in, I find that it can become othering. It can become separate from what's actually available in that moment, which is connection with another person, another soul, really. When my spiritual being recognizes another spiritual being, when I get beyond who I think I should be and who I think you should be, and I can go to that place of, it's hard to say who we really are, because even that is this sort of predefined definition in my mind. But when we start getting curious, and not just curious as in I want to know all about you, but more curious as in what is this experience that we're here doing? What is this thing? And why is it this thing offers so many different experiences? In the same day, I could be sitting with somebody who has plenty of financial wealth and goods and resources, but has very few internal resources, very few ways that they can connect on a deep level with who they are, as opposed to who they are being. And they have a difficult time connecting with any other human, be it family or friends or neighbors, and they suffer. And then in the same day, I can sit with somebody who lives out of a couple garbage bags, and they're perfectly content in the moment. Now, of course, their life isn't easy, and it's not necessarily even preferred, but they have an ability to be with themselves and be with another in a profoundly deeper way. And it makes me curious. What are we doing here? What are these roles that we take on or that are thrust upon us from an early age? Even from birth, we go through this whole process of being born. And as soon as we are out of the womb and into the room, we're tagged and bagged and labeled and wrapped in blue or pink. Um, and your name is stuck on. All these measures are taken right away immediately to begin to contain us. So they're these containers. And then we spend a good portion of our lives proving ourselves to be those things, proving ourselves to be whatever box it is that we need to be in to perform this role appropriately. And usually it's so subtle at a certain point after years of intensive training, from childhood up, that we don't even recognize that that's what we're doing. We don't even recognize that there's a deeper part of who I am. And when I say deeper, it doesn't necessarily say that the other part is shallow. It's just to say that there's this thing that's further down that I really have to go behind the veil or behind the screen of me, of who of Michael, of meditation teacher, of peer support, of father, of husband, of vegetarian, whatever it is, whatever that screen is of me. If I can get behind that and then go even behind that, there's a part of me that knows I'm doing everything I can to uphold these roles at times in my life. And it causes a great amount of distress for some of us. I think for all of us, but it's much safer for me to speak for some. And it'd be safest for me to just speak from my own experience, but my own experience tells me that I'm not the only one. And I think a lot of this was spurred by a meme that I saw that a friend had shared, sort of disparaging the idea of identifying as something other than what you're assigned to be. And it said, quote, I identify as, end quote, is the same thing as, quote, I am pretending to be, end quote, change my mind. And this is obviously hurdled as a takedown of trans people, trans identities. But I don't think that it's even understood that every single one of us is doing this. Anytime we identify ourselves as this thing, then we are already sort of entering into this realm of shared make-believe. I will make believe that a cop has authority or that a billionaire has power, or I will make believe that I have a certain set of duties and obligations because I have a penis. And I will then, by the very nature of having my strict identity, thrust upon you everything you need to be. And we mostly go along with this. We mostly go along with this with one another, um, without too much, this or that, without too much back and forth. We tend to skate through pretty easily on these identities until somebody comes along and disrupts it for us. Until somebody comes along and changes the game, changes the rules. And it seems that while we understand those game changing rule changers to be the catalyst for growth and shift into a deeper and more expansive society, there's this contraction that we have away from it. And it's not just pointing to transgender identity as being people who identify as something. Just as trans people are not the only people with pronouns. Come on now, we all use them. We all identify as something. It's just that we've agreed to some and not others. And I can think of few things more sociopathic than to demand that somebody maintain the identity that I am pretending you to be. Now, I don't know that this is saying that there's a way out of identification, or that even identification needs to be something we get rid of. I actually think that we identify as things for a reason. We identify with these certain levels of personhood for our very survival. We are social creatures, and that in some way requires us to identify as something. That drive to identify is the same as the drive to survive. And I think that that makes it a non-negotiable that people be able to identify however they survive. To take away someone's ability to have their own identity is to strip them of their rights to survive. Because it is within the ways that we identify that we form our social safety nets. And this is okay on one place, on one level, right? On that social animal level, if we pull back, it's fine. It's okay. But the struggle as an individual body, right? As an individual body, my struggle is to, at any moment, decide if I am able to maintain this identity. And I think we all struggle with that in some form or another. And there's a certain layer or level of masking that we all participate in sometimes. Sometimes some more than others. And we do this not because we are intentionally setting out to get one over on the world. It's because we're just trying to get through the day. We're just trying to get through the day. But I think that if we're being honest at any moment, I don't always feel like performing at the level of the role in which I've been assigned. And I think that's a universal struggle. I think that at any moment, each of us have these thoughts. I don't know if I can go on with things like this, things the way they are in this manner right now. And so we develop these really rich ways to play with the rules. And I think it's fantastic. But I guess all of this is to say that when you find yourself challenging your identities. This is the work that we're doing. This is the work. Because understanding the layers of shields that I have, or the veils that I have, not as being something that is uh, deemed unworthy or judged harshly and gotten rid of, rejected, we can understand these different layers as our ability to participate in the human experience right now. And also know that it's all temporary. Each of those identities, each of those roles, but there's something behind them that seems to be much longer lived. And it's that part of who we are that gives us a feeling of security and solace and calm and centeredness when we touch into it. When we can allow all of the ways that we identify out here to just be that and find that place inside of us. And we can, ideally, the ability to live inside out, outside in. This is finding a flow with life that leads to, I think, ultimately peace and acceptance, compassion and love. When we can find that place of who we truly are deep behind the veils, and also allow ourselves to play with the veils, to consciously and intentionally be present with all of these theatrics, and maintain the knowledge that we are also deeper than all of this. And we are all connected on a level that doesn't require us to defend or do violence or harm in the name of an identity. I mean, this can apply on so many levels. And I just think about the levels to which I have gone in my life to defend my identities, when there was always that voice in me that just wanted to reach out and connect. Just reach out from behind the veils, part the curtains, and say, hey, this is just a show, but I'm in here and I see you. And I just want to love you. So what is behind the veil? What happens when we go behind the veil with another soul, another spirit? What transformation can occur when we recognize the shadow on the cave wall? But, in Plato's cave, the shadows are all coming from a single source of light, right? We are all the light, and the shadows are just the way that we are communicating. And in some ways, some days, that's okay. I feel like maybe there is a bit of meandering today, but I'm okay with meandering sometimes. If you've been here before, you are probably well aware. But I appreciate you for sticking it out and hearing it through. And today, for our moment of meditation together, a shared space, I'm going to play some music by Benji Wertheimer. He's given me permission to play his beautiful work in the past, so I'm going to play some of that today. This is from Voice of the Esraj, and you can find Benji, that's Benjy, Wertheimer, Wertheimer, on all of the streaming platforms. Phenomenal musician. And yeah, let's give ourselves that opportunity right now to go behind the veil. So if you're seated as I am right now, in a chair or on a couch or in some way that you can allow your feet to be flat to the floor and sit so that you're not putting stress or strain on your lower back or your knees. If you're on the floor, on a pillow, mat, or rug, be sure not to be putting too much strain into your body, as we want to allow the body to lay back and become the flute. We want to become the flute that's being played by the breath of life. Breathing in through the nose, allowing the belly to expand and contract. Breathing in and release. With your eyes gently closed or your open eyes with a soft focus, breathe in and release. And just finding your breath with your thoughts, following the breath, brings us inward into the experience of this body. And the experience of what this body has on the inside and what we are experiencing on the outside of this body is the same existence. It's the same place. It's the same place. And as I meditate on the breath, I can begin to understand everything is passing. A breath that moves in, leaves. Everything we've ever known is going away. It is all going away. And whether you resist that going away or you flow with it is going to not change the outcome, but determine the ease of which your experience will be. So, learning to accept and receive, we breathe in. I am receiving. And learning from the teacher of our breath to let go, we breathe out. I am letting go. Go behind your veil and let it go. Go behind your veil and just let it go. When you breathe out, really allow it all to leave the body. And when you breathe in with a presence to experience all that is coming in. Thanks for joining today on the journey home. Hari Om.